was hard. I can't imagine what it would be like going off to play, knowing you might not see your family for a month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks. That's tough, and I understand guys having concerns about that. So there are issues like that obviously are going to have to be worked through, and guys are going to have to reconcile with themselves and with their families a little bit. But I guess the fact that we're even starting to have these conversations is certainly kind of that light at the end of the tunnel that we're all looking for. I mean, I think we all miss watching our favorite players and our favorite sports and our favorite teams and all that. But I think, at the same time, we're all obviously very conscious of if and when we do get back to doing that, we do it in the safest manner possible.
Tom, do you think it's difficult for these pitchers to have ramped up and had, got to the point where they're about ready to go out there and play the regular season, but now to get kind of ramped back down? I know guys are working out on their own, but they're not in that team setting. How difficult from a pitching perspective do you think that is to have thought you were going to play, now have to hold off, and now unsure of when you'll play again?
It's difficult because I've likened it to what we went through in 1995 when we came back from the '94 strike, and then the strike got settled, and we had a shortened spring training, and then we went on and had our season. Now, the difference here, like you mentioned there, the first one is these guys already got ramped up a little bit, and now they had to shut it down. In our case, we never got it ramped up like that. We were preparing and hoping that spring training was going to open, but we never got it going. So there'll be a little bit of an adjustment there, because I think your natural inclination is to think, well, these guys were 3 weeks into spring training and they've been throwing 50 pitches and so they can just pick up. No, they can't. When the further this goes out, then the more time they're going to need to have some sort of spring training again to get guys ready. Now, the other big difference that I honestly can't quantify is when we went through the strike situation in 94, 95, we were still able to get together as groups and work out together with guys, small groups. You were able to go to the gym and work out and stay in shape. You can't do any of that now. So guys are really, really having to do things on their own. Maybe in some instances you might get a pitcher together with a friend and he can throw a bullpen or he can do that kind of stuff. But to me, the staying in shape part is going to be really tough because a lot of these guys, as young as they are, they're not at a point where they've, established themselves enough that they have a house and they can put their own weight room in their house or things of that nature that, somebody like myself was able to do later in my career. So, it really is a challenge for these guys to have to be doing all this stuff on their own and stay in shape. So, like I said, I don't know. I can't really quantify how much guys have been able to do that. I know guys are probably doing as much as they can, but I think that's going to be another thing they're going to have to sit down at some point and assess, okay, well, how ready are guys really at this stage of the game to go in and start spring training and all over again? Because I can't imagine that any of them, given the difficulties they would have in staying in shape with, like I said, gyms closed and the whole 9 yards, I can't imagine that they would have been in the same position they were in February 14th when spring training opened.
Tom, you ended up with over 300 wins, obviously the Hall of Fame induction, which is immortality. Randy Johnson, just a couple of years after that, was able to get to 300 wins, and now we've had this decade drought. Now, there's been other, like even 13 years between 300-game winners or whatever. Do you think we'll ever see it again with the way the game is played or the way the pitchers are handled?
I hesitate to say you'll never see anything again. I think it's really unlikely. And as much as people talk about how difficult it is the way the game is played today, and that's true. It's 1,000% true. It's equally difficult to think that anybody in today's game is going to play 20 years. And realistically, you got to play 20 years to win 300 games. And as much as anything, the way that the pitching has changed, where the emphasis now is so much on velocity, and everybody that goes out there is a max effort guy, I don't see guys being able to stay healthy for 20 years. I just don't. And then you couple that with the fact that, you really got to average 15 wins a year for 20 years with the decreased opportunities that guys have to stay in games longer in today's game and pick up wins later in a ball game. That makes it even harder. So, who knows? I mean, maybe somebody will come along, but I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see Randy Johnson be the last guy to ever win.
Your 1995 pitching staff was not when you guys won the World Series was not built on that. It was one of the most dominant staffs in the history of Major League Baseball. It was you and Greg Maddux and Steve Avery and John Smoltz, and Smoltz was the guy who was, I guess, would have been your flamethrower, so to speak, but he wasn't really that either. What does it say that now it has changed? Why does baseball change like that, knowing that you can win, and especially win a lot with guys like you, like Maddux, like that located?
I think a lot of it is just it's easier. It's easier to sell everybody on stuff than it is to sell everybody on command, and there's a lot of people out there who think a guy like myself and Greg Maddux couldn't pitch in today's game. Now, I'll tell you, you're crazy. I think we absolutely could pitch in today's game because I think, good players in any era would be good players in any other era because they'd figure it out. But I think in today's game, it's just where so much emphasis has been put on the velocity side of things. Well, what has been lost in all of that is the ability to now locate the ball, right? And it's not necessarily any fault of a lot of these guys that are in the big leagues now because they were all brought up on hey, what matters is the radar gun. What's going to get you drafted is how hard you throw. And then you wonder why a lot of these guys get to the big leagues and they don't know how to pitch. And it's because their whole life they were able to get guys out because they were just physically better than everybody they were playing. Well, now all of a sudden you get to the big leagues and that's not the case anymore. It's like I always tell kids when I talk to them about pitching, listen, you might throw hard and you might be physically better than everybody that you're playing against. But at some point in time, that's not going to be the case. So start working on being better than guys, not only because you're physically better than them, but because you can outperform them. And I think that's the part that's been lost. Now, you have guys in the game, obviously, that can do that. I mean, you look at Jake DeGrom, you look at Scherzer, you look at Strasburg. Those are the guys that jump out at me right away that know how to throw, that can throw the ball hard, but can locate. And that's why those guys are great in today's game because they can do that. Now, there's a whole host of other guys behind them that can throw just as hard as they do, but they don't have the success that those guys have because they can't locate. And, I think it's become a lost art. And I think, quite frankly, it's one of those things that it just makes it when you have a guy who has velocity, if you draft a guy on velocity and he doesn't make it, you can fall back on, well, hey, he checked the boxes. He threw 95. He had a good arm, this, that, and the other thing. You draft a kid that maybe is below that, but can locate and moves the ball around and does all that, and he doesn't make it. Then people are questioning you, well, why did you draft that guy? He didn't throw hard. So, I mean, I think it's just one of those ones where it's almost easier to just draft the guy and try to develop the guy who throws really hard because if he doesn't make it, you can at least explain it away versus the guy who maybe think you're taking a chance of moving in location.
Most teams are with regional networks, and so only a portion of their state or the country can watch them. But the Braves were unique because of TBS, much like the Cubs with WGN. When I hear people, especially in kind of my age bracket, talk about their favorite baseball memories, it's inevitable that the mid-'90s Braves will always be brought up. How often do you still have people reflect on watching those teams growing up? And why do you think it is that that era of the Braves is just so immensely popular still to this day?
Well, I think it's mainly because of what you just said. We were on TV nationally every night. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys were America's team in football. We were America's team in baseball because of TBS. Everybody had TBS. So we were the team that everybody could watch every night. And even in the advent of cable TV, it was still hard for some people in certain regions to get their local team on, and watch them because they didn't have cable TV. But then cable TV comes along and maybe some of those local teams weren't as available, but we were on TBS. So, everybody watched us, and I think it was really eye opening to me. Especially in 1991 when we started to get good and started to get going a little bit, and the groundswell started. It was amazing when we would go on the road, the kind of crowds that we had on the road, and the kind of fans that were hanging around our hotel, and I think even for me as a player, it kind of struck me as like, why do we have this? And then inevitably you get, well, we watch you guys every night on WTBS, and I still hear guys that play different sports or do whatever, and they'll say, "Oh, I grew up as a Braves fan because that was the team I could watch every night," and they weren't from Atlanta, or Georgia. So I mean, it still strikes me sometimes when I'll hear somebody say, "Oh, I grew up a Braves fan," then it's like, "Well, yeah, I guess because we're on TV every night." So it really was a unique situation for us back then to be that team, and then you couple it with, we had success. Obviously, we were a good team, and I think for the most part, we had a group of guys that I think were relatable and people liked and enjoyed listening to them. And we had a good group of guys. We really did. We didn't really have any jerks. So I think that lended itself to people wanting to watch that team and follow that team. And then obviously when we started having more and more success, it became easier and easier to follow. So it was a really almost a perfect storm, so to speak, as it related to cable TV and a sports team.
I still think that you and Greg Maddux have the best commercial of all time, and Chicks Dig the Long Ball.
I can't argue with you.
Do you have a favorite Bobby Cox ejection or meltdown?
My favorite story is, back in the day, we used to when we were whoever was the starting pitcher the next day had to do the chart. What we called it was the chart. And essentially what you do is you were keeping score of the game, and you were counting the pitcher's pitches. So it was all stuff that you cataloged and then handed to the pitching coach. And then the pitching coach would manually, he threw this many pitches, he threw this many strikes, this many balls, how many strike ones did he go, all that stuff. And they did it all manually. So the next day starting pitcher was the guy that was doing the chart. So over a period of time, we convinced Bobby that, hey, Bobby, when we're doing the chart, can we just stay in the clubhouse and do it and watch it on TV? Because it's a lot easier to see location than it is when you're on the bench. You really can't tell. You can tell up and down. You can't tell in and out. And he was like, sure, that's fine, no problem. So for us, it was kind of that easy day, the day before you're going to pitch. You settle in on the couch in the clubhouse with your clipboard and a cup of coffee, and you're going to keep score, and you're watching the game. And we did. We watched the game. We wanted to see, particularly for somebody like me, if Greg was pitching before me and I was doing the chart, I'm paying attention to what Greg's doing because even though he's right-handed, I'm left-handed, we have similar styles of pitching. So I want to see, I'm more interested in hits or outs on location than I am on stuff. So anyway, so Greg was doing the chart one day, and it was about the third or fourth inning in the game, and there was a lot of bickering going on from both dugouts. So I went upstairs to get a cup of coffee, and I said to Greg, I said, hey, doggy, I said, is this umpire behind the plate missing a lot of calls? What's going on? I said, there's a lot of complaining going on. He's like, yeah, he's terrible. He's missed a bunch, but he's missed a bunch for both sides, so he's been equally terrible. So I was like, okay. So it wasn't 15 seconds later, Bobby comes upstairs, and Bobby gets a cup of coffee, and he asks Greg the same question. And Greg says, oh, no, Bobby, he really hasn't been that bad. He's missed a couple here or there, but he hasn't been that bad. So Bobby walks out, and I said, Greg, what are you doing? He's going to go downstairs, and he's going to get thrown out of this game. And I'll be damned if he didn't go downstairs, and 2 pitches later, he's arguing with the umpire. And boom, he's out of the game. And, Greg just kind of laughed. So it's like, it's one of those things that we kind of knew you could push his buttons a little bit. But, I mean, the beauty of Bobby was we knew as players he was going to fight tooth and nail for every extra inch he could get for us. And I think that's why so many guys love playing for him.
Tom, a couple of more questions, if you don't mind. Hall of Famer Tom Glavine. Man, I really appreciate you being on this first week of our shows. You have, I believe, still a Major League record for most games started without a relief appearance.
I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah, then what did you then think of what, for example, even Dennis Eckersley, who turned into an incredible relief pitcher, John Smoltz, who became a great closer. What about how they were able to morph their game into being closers?
I think it speaks a lot to the talent that they were. I was going to say I'm not sure. I know I could not have morphed myself into a closer. So, thankfully, I showed enough consistency, and the Braves had enough confidence in me, even when I was a younger player, and kind of getting my brains bashed around a little bit, that they saw me as a starting pitcher and they stuck with it, and they were patient with my development. But I think in Dennis's case, and certainly in John's case, I can speak to firsthand because I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are two guys that just had the kind of stuff that they could do it. And I think too, and probably just as importantly, they had the mentality to do it, because people don't have really any idea. I shouldn't say most. I mean, I think for a large majority of people that watch baseball, they really don't understand why it's so hard to get those last three outs of the game. And it just is. It's hard. It's not, how many times have we seen people say, well, if your closer gets hurt, then just take the guy who's pitching the eighth inning and let him close the game. Well, those three outs in the eighth inning are a lot different than those last three outs in the ninth inning. And it just is. So for those guys to be able to turn themselves into closers and accept that responsibility of getting those last three outs, and then ultimately go out there and do it at a Hall of Fame level. I mean, I think it just speaks to A, their stuff, but B, their mentality. And I know in John's case, you could always look at John and know, oh man, does he have great stuff? Yeah, he could probably be a closer. But then going out there and doing it, I think the one thing we always worry about with John was, John was the poster child for ADD. That guy could not sit still. So our thing was always, how is he going to go sit in the bullpen for 8 innings and then get ready to pitch 1 inning? But he did, and he learned how to do it, and he learned how to pace himself, and he learned how to keep himself under control and gear up for those last 3 outs. But I think, like I said, more than the two big things, obviously, are it speaks to their stuff, but I think it speaks to their mentality that they weren't afraid of a challenge. I know John was never afraid of anything. There wasn't anything that he didn't think he could do, and maybe sometimes that was to his detriment. But by and large, I think it was a big part of his success.
Final question: what is more nerve-wracking? You throwing a last pitch to win a World Series or to win a championship or whatever it is, or your 300th win, or watching your son Peyton or your sons who you coach in hockey and baseball play?
It's more nerve-wracking watching them because I don't have control over it, and I live and die with every bit of it, just like I did when I was on the mound. I mean, you have that, and I know it's an exaggeration, but you do have a little bit of that mentality of you live and die with everything you're doing. But when you're out there and you're in control, then it was much easier to calm the nerves and deal with it. When I'm watching my kids play, and now watching my son Peyton play college ball, I mean, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat with every pitch he throws, just like I did when I was out there, but I don't have any control over what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So all I have is the nervousness. I don't have the control. So it's difficult. I mean, I love it. I've always loved watching my kids play sports, and I love the opportunity to coach them and be a part of it, and have those moments with them when they were kids growing up. But I stick me out there in a bases loaded situation in a 3-2 count in a 1-run game and put me on the mound, and I'll be 100% comfortable with it. If my son's out there doing it, I probably have my hands over my eyes, and I'm kind of peeking through maybe somewhere to see what actually happens.
I tell you what,
awesome.
Tom, great stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time. 305 career wins, Hall of Fame, 10-time All-Star, World Series in 95, twice the Cy Young Award winner. I mean, and then you were a heck of a hitter. Do you hate the DH?
I do. I hated it. When we went to the American League ballpark, I always felt like I was only playing half the game. So it was, I understand it. I mean, I appreciate what it brings to the game because it has prolonged some guys' careers. And some Hall of Fame guys at that. So, I mean, I get it. But from a playing standpoint, I much prefer to be in the batter's box than have the DH.
Thank you, Tom, so much. Congratulations on a great career, what you're doing with people in the community and what you've done. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Hall of Fame, Atlanta Braves, New York Mets. Most of his career, of course, with the Braves. 305 career wins. There are 24 pitchers in baseball history who have won 300 games or more.
Yeah.
None since 2009.
That's an all-timer for me right there.
That's a ridiculous amount of time he just gave us, guys.
Yeah, that's an all-timer. It was just great. I mean, and Craig, you nailed it with TBS. I lived in South Florida at the time, and the Marlins came along about the second or third year I was there. Mm-hmm. So there was the local team, to watch because we'd moved from Bossier City. We get to see the Rangers now and again. We're in Bossier City, but not all the time. And then you just watch the Braves every night, so you watch baseball. I
used to actually get mad at the Braves because since they were on TBS, it would sometimes interrupt wrestling programming. So I'd be wanting to watch like WCW Saturday Night, and this was like when, obviously wrestling was hot and heavy in the late 90s, but I'd be wanting to watch WCW Saturday Night or Monday Nitro, and here come the Braves like all summer long, and I just hated them for that, but at the same time I loved them because they were fantastic and they were always on TV, as he mentioned.
Yeah. By the way, when 95, when they won the World Series, I was a sophomore in high school. I was a sophomore in high school, and I remember the night that I believe that they won Game 5, or the Game 5 was, and it was the night of a homecoming dance, and I remember me and a bunch of other guys completely ignoring our dates because the place that we had it, they had a television in the
Braves game on.
Like whoever the security guard was watching the TV, had a pretty big TV, was watching the Braves game, and I kept walking, like I'd go get some punch and walk out and watch a couple of outs and then walk back and go, hey, how's it going in here? All right, good. You're good? You're talking to your friends? All right, let's go.
Cool. It's 2 outs go. We got to go check the end of this inning.
Back in 1990, when I first started Sports Talk Radio, I remember talking to Norm Hitzges, the great Norm Hitzges, and also spent time with Galloway and getting different type of shows, different ideas. And Tom Glavine's interview, it's interesting, this is the first week of this particular launch of SicEm365 Radio. But one of the things that Norm and Brandy said to me, you don't have anybody listening to you, which is always the fear. Like, is there, is this on? Because really it had come out of nowhere. I think that show had been on for 2 or 3 months prior to that. And, if we took a call, it was like, oh, my God, the phone's ringing.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, it's serious. You're like, and they all said to me, both of them, you are going to have to load up your show with nothing but guests. And it can't be just some random name. Now, Harmon Killebrew, Willie McCovey, I went, and back then, 30 years ago, it was so much easier to make contact with a lot of these guys if you could get their numbers because there wasn't as many talk radio stations, and the media was different then.
Yeah.
And having Tom Glavine on the first week is important. It kind of sets a standard because it reminds me of that. Craig was very young at the time. Heck, he was 6 years old. Jennifer was 3. And so I remember, though, having those names on, and then that's how then people, hey, did you hear about Harmon Killebrew? Or did you have Willie McCovey? Or whoever it was, and having Tom Glavine on. We've had a ton of Baylor-centric segments, and we should, and we will. And we've had a lot of high school, and we've had a lot of Cowboys with Cliff Harris, Charlie Waters, Daryl Johnston.
By the way, that's segment dedicated to Kyle Robarts.
Yes, Kyle Robarts, women's basketball athletic communications, has a Tom Glavine jersey.
I have another Kyle Robarts note. I noticed on Twitter, and it was like one of those, in case you missed it, and he was playing King Griffey Jr. baseball the other night, I guess, during quarantine, or was wanting to. I can't remember if he was playing or was wanting to, and that was my favorite baseball video game by far. I played the heck out of that until it didn't work anymore. But I apologize. I just had to get that out.
That's awesome, but it's nice to have him on, and that now, with what we've done, I've had a lot of people who have reached out and said, you're not going to be able to match this week after week. You know what? That's our challenge.
We'll try.
We tried that. This is what we've done. It's not just when we're at the Super Bowl or anywhere else. This is what we've always tried to do, and we will continue. And we're already working on Monday. We still have, 30 minutes left in this show. By the way,
so Greg Maddox next week, is that what we're talking about this?
Yeah, Greg Maddox.
Smoltz,
then we'll have
Smoltz,
the Steve Avery, and then we'll have
David Justice.
David Justice, and then
and look, I'll die on the hill of Greg Maddox is the best pitcher of my lifetime. Like, I will die on that hill, and the reason I will is because of what Tom Glavine said.
Yeah,
I mean, and Glavine's right up there with him to me because again, they had to find a way to win games and to locate. And Maddox was the hardest guy to get hits on and get runners on and move the ball around because All right, okay, so you sawed off a single on him. Well, the next one's probably going to be a chopper to shortstop because he threw some kind of weird changeup that you couldn't get around on. Yeah, so that pitching staff, I still to this day, I just enjoyed immensely watching them. And in no way could you ever consider me a Braves fan other than that was maybe when I started to pick a point in my life where I didn't have to have a dog in the hunt to enjoy watching a game.
Right.
Because I just enjoyed watching them that much. Just like the Bulls of that same era, I bought, granted, I fell into the trap and I bought a bunch of Bulls gear because that was popular.
Everybody did, yeah.
But I can tell you, I just enjoyed watching the games every night because it was fun to watch great teams play.
And they were great. They were really good, and that pitching staff was right at the forefront of it.
Back in the day, you had the Cubs and the Braves on national television, WGN and TBS, before everything became so easy. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was not.
WGN, that kind of has changed. I mean, they're still the home of the Cubs and all that, I believe.
No, I don't think they are.
They aren't? Okay, now it's like WGN America, and so it's slightly different than it was. But, WGN was national, but I don't know that there weren't pockets where maybe that wasn't able to be picked up, but TBS was everywhere. I mean, you could not miss a Braves game.
Yeah, look, I was going to watch a rerun of Cheers, and I was going to watch the Braves pretty much every night.
So thanks to Tom Glavine, I got to tell you, I got this a friend of mine sent me the connection number, and I reached out, and I thought it was a Hail Mary, but my gosh, not only did he respond to me pretty quickly, but to give us that time, we appreciate that, whether that's 5 minutes or 25 minutes, and so many different topics we've weaved throughout that time. Hey, Milo, downtown, call in and pick up orders. Milo all day. Right now on Fridays.
It's farm to table.
Huh?
Farm to table.
Is that what it
fresh,
is?
Yeah.
On Fridays at $40, roasted pork loin, whipped potatoes, little gem Caesar garlic salad and garlic bread. Saturdays for $40, pork green chili enchiladas. Boy, that does sound good.
Oh, it does.
Red rice and beans. And Sunday at Baracco beans? Baracho beans at $40 on Sunday. Fried chicken dinner, slaw, cheesy garlic biscuits, smoked Gouda grits, and potato salad.
I haven't heard one thing potato salad I'm not a huge fan of, but other than that, I heard everything that I liked.
I bet you they can get you to try it, though.
Probably.
Yeah.
Are there two locations?
There is. I know there's the one.
And listen, Milo's been great, and that's a heck of a deal. I know right now a lot of people are looking for options. Like there's been a couple of times when I've been on my way home from the show, and I was like, I just want to maybe just go by somewhere local and make sure we support the local restaurants and stuff.
It's important to do that during this time. And, you can have the best of both worlds. You heard Tom Glavine say, hey, we don't get to go out to restaurants. We have to do that. But you can still get food from restaurants.
They're at 1020 Franklin Avenue.
And support them. They're right across from Balcones there. And you can support them, bring some food home, get it delivered to your house. All these there's tons of delivery services that you can use, and
we love us some Milo. And again, all those specials on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The menu, I'll probably knock that out one more time before we go off the air. We've had numerous guests. We'll wrap up a couple of things, couple of more stories to get to. We talked about the XFL shutting down, and how about the timing of Daryl Johnston being scheduled for today and his relationship with the Dallas Renegades. We were able to hear from Cyril Richardson. Yes.
Go ahead. I was just going to make another mention of Milo.
The NCAA will vote on that one-time transfer waiver. Sports fans, a poll of who will attend the games without a coronavirus vaccine. The Texans make a trade for a wide receiver. And A.D. Gene Smith from Ohio State, a nugget about him.
Milo, want to mention 11 to 2, the lunch brunch hours for carryout, and then 4 to 7, dinner pickups. So you get your family meals. They've got the full menu online, and you can also order online and then head on over and get the carryout. You can feed everybody, and they got some good options, as was outlined just a few moments ago.
Ideal MRI, our title sponsor. The sponsors of the core are founding sponsors, including Ideal MRI, Waco Custom Marketplace, First National Bank of Central Texas, Boozers, Premier Diamonds and Timepieces, The Wedding Ring Store, Petty Clinic, Low Teeth Therapy, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Edward Jones, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, Tom Albers, Camille Johnson Realtors, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, Westdale, Lance Donaldson Realty, Stonewood Dental, McLean Group, Milo, and Tyler Candle Company. This is SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com. If you're sluggish, you lack energy, do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check in your various levels, and then he'll put you, Dr. Petty, on any kind of program that will help you raise your testosterone levels. Not only time for you to be the man you want to be, but also with higher energy and the stamina, the healthiest and highest performance man. And also some of the screening will include cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, male infertility, hepatitis C, prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy and for testosterone and growth hormones. Weight management therapy. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, improved sex drive, but the healthiest and high performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off the Access Road, and east of Highway 84 in Woodway. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We are open to support our community through this crisis. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sauce and drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Waco, Texas, our city of remarkable growth and opportunity with an even brighter future ahead. What makes it all work is our people, living, working, and growing together. And we're proud to be from here, helping and serving the community we call home. We are the First National Bank of Central Texas, taking great pride in being locally owned and operated. Come see us at any of our 5 convenient locations. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, with Crown Royal Peach in stock right now and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back into SicEm365 Radio. Paul Catalina, David Smoak, Craig Smoak, Dylan Chapman.
Yes, sir.
We're going to put Dylan to work here. Dylan's just kind of getting an idea of the lay of the land, but
I sense some beef going on, him and Woodrow, because Woodrow's been our fourth wheel, and now here comes Dylan here at the end of the week, and I think Woodrow's a little jealous, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, Woodrow, I don't know. He's not up here, is he? Is he under your table right now?
Yep.
No,
he's under me.
He's there. He is. He's there. He's there. Woodrow's a little mad at me today because I do that of the podcast, the Believe in the Cowboys podcast, and so today we had a round table with all the NFC East guys from the network on Believe. And so I got back from my workout at 11:50 or so, and that was at 12:15. So I just kind of kind of tricked him into going outside without a full walk. And then I got done with that, and I had to do an interview.
You cannot trick a dog.
With Drake Toll and Pranay from the Lariat on Zoom, literally right after. So when I got done with that second Zoom, and then I went to go shower, he was sitting under the table there, and he gave me the look of like, listen, buddy. Yeah. You can pull that crap one more time.
Yeah. I'm getting walks.
Yeah, he did. He got one.
Yeah.
So, but he was just going to have to wait because I had all that stuff back to back. So, hopefully, I don't know when that story is going to come out in the Lariat, but hopefully it played well for us.
It was interesting because during the time the downtime from March the 18th until this Monday, I had Andrew Miner, who I worked at Baylor and or has been a Baylor graduate. It was a lot of the media sessions and games. Yeah, I did an interview with him that it was fantastic. Not because of me, because he's sitting there hustling. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's I've seen him around, and it was really nice of him to do that. It was a podcast for him, right?
Yeah, it was a podcast.
Yeah. But anybody who's helping spread the word, we do appreciate them, and we're only planning on continuing to grow this thing. And you said it earlier this week, but the support that we've received from Brian and Ashley and Colt and everybody over at SicEm365, and to think of the time that we're launching something when so many people are doing the exact opposite, it's really cool to think about. And I keep telling people this, just spread the word. There's a lot of different ways to listen. Everybody's going to eventually fall into a routine and just kind of know by habit to tune in however they choose to tune in. But I mean, just think about what we're doing right now and think about what it will be when, things eventually do return to normal, although I know that's the question we're all trying to answer right now. But having fun in the meantime, and, man, just still kind of in a little bit of a glow. 25 minutes with Tom Glavine is pretty cool.
I want to admit something. On Monday, I could have run like Forrest Gump because of the adrenaline rush of that day. On Tuesday, I could barely move. Because of the adrenaline rush of getting with what all we've done behind the scenes. And what was so amazing is how we all compartmentalized what we needed to do. And then on Tuesday, we still had phenomenal guests, but I was like, I could barely move. I was so, it was not depressive because that's the last thing it was. But the last 3 days, it feels like we've settled into a really good little groove.
I'm going to say this, and this is definitely a dig, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to be very veiled. It's amazing what I can get done personally in a very short amount of time when no one comes in to bother me.
Yeah, when there's no distractions.
So
unnecessarily.
I'm so amazed at my own ability to finish tasks when it's
the
all
NCAA is expected to vote on the one-time transfer. Point taken. Transfer waiver, I think it's on May 20th. They're going to discuss it April 24th, vote May 20th. That's Division I baseball. I'm going to have a guest on Monday that's a college baseball writer, and we'll get into that more often. Now,
and just kind of explain to folks what that entails as far as the waiver, because Kendall Rogers had it, a one-time transfer that is expected to pass.
Yeah, it's expected to discuss. Okay, contrary to any speculation, nothing has been determined. There's no decision made, no date yet. But, yeah, the vote passes. There could be an influx of first-time transfers into the portal. There are 746 Division I basketball players currently in the transfer portal.
That's ridiculous.
181 of them are classified as graduate transfers. 565 have entered the portal with the expectation of sitting out next season.
Well, and I think it would balance.
If a change is enacted, that would allow first-time transfers to play immediately. It opens the door up for 565 of these guys in the transfer portal.
Well,
to play.
But it also anybody else that wants to suddenly jump in.
But one of the things I think that is wrong with recruiting and all of this is that if you don't get your way immediately, you transfer. And then you wind up with guys like Tom Savage. Remember Tom Savage that played for the Texans for a little while? Tate Martell, the guys that play at 3 different schools. Now, sometimes you do because you're injured and it just works out that way. But a lot of guys, Tate Martell, a Gunnar Keel, you don't hear what you want to hear, so you leave. And it becomes all of a sudden, there's a guy who might be better than you, so you leave, or might work a little harder, so you leave. And then you do all that. I think if you have a one-time transfer and knowing that going in, knowing that, okay, I really need to pick and narrow down to some places that I want to be. So if it doesn't work out at school A, then my pick for school B won't be so random and all that.
Well, here's the thing, too, is that this would be eligible for everybody. A free, penalty-free, one-time transfer, right? So you can imagine people that maybe aren't even that unhappy. You know how things work behind the scenes. All of a sudden, coaches know that a guy can just transfer without penalty. I worry about that a little bit. But also, this would not likely be in place until 21-22. So we're not even talking about next fall, because obviously you'd have to cram in a lot here in about 2 months if things were to start on schedule. But yeah, this would not affect this upcoming year, but a year from now. So that'll be very interesting to watch, because that could be kind of like when the transfer portal first arrived, that same sort of feel of like, all right, here comes chaos. Mm-hmm. But maybe it wasn't as bad in the long run, although there were some instances.
What I do think what will happen is you're going to have a lot more Seth Curry, not Steph Curry, but
yeah.
Seth Curry played at a small school, just like, Steph played at Davidson. That's where he played. But if you have a tournament like, say, Steph Curry has at Davidson, well, if he doesn't go to the NBA, say he wasn't going to be that great, but he wasn't that ready, but he had a good tournament, you're going to see those guys bolt those programs and go find somewhere else they can play right now.
Okay, a couple of quick notes. I'll just read them out. The Rams have agreed to trade Brandon Cooks to the Texans.
Yeah, a lot of Texans fans unhappy about that one yesterday.
A second-round pick in this year's draft.
Well, does he not care about draft picks?
And a 2022 fourth-round pick.
And he's making $16 million, which is about what they're paying DeAndre Hopkins.
Exactly right. Gene, it must have just been a toxic relationship.
Their wide receiver group now is Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller, Randall Cobb from the Cowboys, Kenny Stills, and Kiki QT. But we know Kiki's forever injured, and that's potentially on paper kind of good, but I don't know. I don't really trust it. Will Fuller's injury prone. All those guys are for the most part.
This is a sports poll from 762 small sample size respondents. 72% of Americans polled they would not attend sporting events until there's a vaccine for coronavirus. Now that's again a small sample, but that I wouldn't be surprised if that's about the number. It might even be higher than that. All right, Paul, do you have that quick little blip? We have time for that?
Yeah.
So I received a direct message today on Twitter. And, I remember when we opened the first show, the debut show on Monday, I mentioned Leon and what he had battled in his life with battling prostate cancer and what he said about listening to our shows in the past and what it meant to him. It got him through a tough time, which is hard to even imagine that we were able to do that, but it was great. So I got a direct message from Brandon Lamar. I remember several months ago he asked me if I had anything I could send to him so they could have a raffle or an auction to raise money for Oscar, who's a very well-known person in the Little River Academy area. He's had his bone marrow transplant today. I'm about to text Brandon, but this is Brandon trying to explain what Oscar and how the community came together thanks to a few things that we were able to send them.
Hey, David. Just wanted to give you an update on something that you and I worked together on back in January. I reached out to you about a gentleman in my community here in Little River Academy. His name's Oscar Martinez. He's got leukemia, and we were trying to do a little fundraiser for him, for him and his family to get some money raised. And you were nice enough to get a bunch of Baylor basketball tickets that we were able to use as part of the silent raffle that we did or silent auction that we did. And between that and everything else that everybody in our little community contributed, we raised over $6,000 for the family that night, which has gone a long way to help them with their costs and everything. But today, Oscar's actually having his bone marrow transplant to hopefully get this thing checked down at MD Anderson in Houston. So that was happening this morning, starting at about 9 o'clock, I think. They expect it to take about 3 to 4 hours. But he's been down there for about 2 weeks. He's healthy. He's in good shape. He's ready to go. So we're all hoping that everything goes well for him. He's been a member of our small little community for as long as I can remember. He referees high school football games. He's involved in everything. Just one of those guys in a small town that, everybody knows. Nobody's got a cross word to say about and everybody loves. So Just wanted to say thank you again for your contribution to that. It did help make a big difference, and that's what's going on, and I'll continue to keep you updated. Thanks, Smokey.
All right. I have not heard anything yet about how the transplant went. I'm hoping to God, of course, we are. But that was not about what I did. It was what the Academy, the Little River Academy community did for Oscar, who today was going through a bone marrow transplant. Wanted to share that because those stories are out there. And what a difficult time to go through something like that.
Yeah, all the things that we face.
It's never a good time.
Problematically, whether it's loved ones being sick or, battling through diseases or just all of the typical trials and tribulations that we face as people in what was our normal. Now we're also focused on this one particular enemy that we're facing, and you can almost kind of, if you're not careful, forget about, there's still people that have nothing to do with COVID-19 that have the same issues and the same problems that they're facing. So, I've said it on now a couple of different radio programs, and I'll continue to repeat it. This is the time for everybody to come together, not the divide. Even though we can't technically really be together, they're telling us to stay away from each other. We can still find ways to come together and help one another, and that's so important right now.
Brandon just texted me. Everything went smoothly. Started at 9 o'clock. Took about 3 or 4 hours. We're thinking about you, Oscar, and good luck as well. All right. That was it, I think.
All the notes you got?
That's all I got.
Yeah. I do. Can I
want to go over the guest list before we're setting it up.
We got a few minutes. I kind of want to rant on the Texans a little bit for a second.
Can I mention one more note and then allow you to do this? We got free reign. Karen Johnson, does that name ring a bell? Former Baylor football player? K-Ron.
He's a coach, isn't he?
Yeah, I saw a few moments ago where I guess he's taking another job, and I had it just a second ago. But yeah, apparently he's got a new gig as a defensive coordinator, at Conroe. So K-Ron Johnson, former Baylor Bear.
Wasn't he from Cuero, and then he played at Baylor, and he went to he coached at Conley a little bit, and probably a couple of other places.
His bio, defensive coordinator at Conroe, was with Cuero, and has Baylor in his profile. Still proud former Bear. So yeah, congratulations.
Defensive lineman, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
K-Ron Johnson.
Yeah. He was buddies with our old intern Felicia Wong, who is now a high level. I don't know high level, but she's got a pretty good gig at Netflix.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's
really?
That's one business that's like
time
is great.
Speaking of which, Dylan, I know you want to go on the. Thank you, Craig. Yeah. The Texans and all that. Dylan Chapman, one of our interns. Alexis Cubitt's riding up in Lubbock, and you've got so many others. Brian Bauer, the owner, part of the family of the Waco Custom Marketplace. We have had some. My God, I mean, we've been blessed.
Yeah,
and it took a lot of effort to make sure it's not just something that happens. And I know that Mrs. Grunfelder, whatever's her name is,
Cassie Burleson.
Yeah, she was always very good about it. And then Daryl Lanus, among others. But okay, go.
Yeah, we had some great ones. It's also good scouting, good talent. I'm a good talent evaluator.
There you go.
Like Jimmy Johnson in the early '90s. I don't know what Bill O'Brien is doing. How little he values the draft, especially in a wide receiver heavy draft. And you just said you're clearing. You don't want to pay this money. Well, Brandon Cooks has got 3 more years left on his deal, just like DeAndre Hopkins. So it's almost spiteful to DeAndre Hopkins to do it that way. And then I kind of feel bad for Brandon Cooks that he's just this guy who gets traded all over the league. He's been, Saints and Patriots and Rams, and I think he's with the Saints twice, right? And then
he's been all
Saints
around,
and Patriots and Saints and Rams, and he's just been traded all over the league. He's gotten to sign an extension, so that's good for him. But it's just so strange, and I don't know what Bill O'Brien is doing. He is not endearing himself to the fans. Of course, the only way to endear yourself to the fans of Houston is to actually win the thing. But I also don't think he's really endearing himself to Deshaun Watson.
I can't imagine so. Yeah, I can't imagine. If I'm Deshaun Watson, I have to have some little sliver of doubt right now about the direction.
Well, look, okay, I'm going to metaphor this as, say Smokey's the head coach, and I'm over here running all this stuff. If he just all of a sudden came and took away this fantastic mixer that we have, the Roadcaster, and said, figure it out, I'd be pretty PO'd.
Mm-hmm. Texans fans do not like him. That much is very clear. They are
that
not happy
relationship,
with him.
though, must have been just like you just couldn't be in the same building together.
He said he wants a renegotiation. Bill, they're all going to want a renegotiation. 53 guys on your team. want a renegotiation. Only a couple of them can pull that off at 3 years, but since he signed his deal, a bunch of different things has happened, and he has been at the same level as those guys. That's the league.
The only thing I can figure is now you look at their team next year, they got Cobb and Stills and Fuller and Cooks. Now, granted, like at least two of those guys, you worry about injuries. You got Darren Fells at tight end. You brought on David Johnson, Duke Johnson as your running backs, or you have those guys as your running backs. So, with Watson, I mean, maybe you just feel like we're going to strike right now and make a run. I can't imagine it's too much about the future because you've mortgaged the future for right now, basically, right? So, but in the same time, you trade DeAndre Hopkins. So I don't know what the plan really is going on in Houston.
I don't even know who they had because it seems like there's so many moving parts. But you know what? He's the general manager.
Yep, we'll see.
Yeah,
that's dangerous.
All right. First week of SicEm365 Radio. I can't even imagine. We need to keep a diary of some of the behind the scenes work and how we got to this point from March 18th to now.
Some people I think of Bob Sturm up in Dallas. He knows exactly how many episodes of a show. It is episode 632. I've never done that at the start of something, but I may try to keep a log because this is episode 5. It should be easier to keep track of.
UFC's 249? Whatever it is.
That.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Ideal MRI, thank you. We appreciate everybody that's been a part of it. I know, Paul, we're up against the top, but thanks to Dr. Rob Maxey, Kent Petty at Kent and Dixie at Petty Clinic Low T, Brad Boozers at Boozers Jewelers, Dan Ingham at First National Bank of Central Texas, the Bauer family, Brian and family at Waco Custom Marketplace, Camille Johnson Realtors, Camille, Edward Jones with Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and also with Tom Albers. The Chapman family, Steve, Chapman Debbie at Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lance Donaldson Realty, Westdale with Joe Beard, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, Glen Lott, and also, again, Stonewood Dental with Dr. Steve Childress and his staff and what they're doing with emergency surgeries at no cost. Drayton McLean Jr., also Tyler Candle Company. Eric Horton just told me he's been listening while mowing a lot of grass.
Oh, he's got a lot of that land to go mow, yeah.
Yeah, and also thanks to, of course, Milo and the great folks we mentioned what they have coming up, these specials tonight and tomorrow and on Sunday. Marketplace is about to close on 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco if you have a chance to go by there. Personal trainer Christy London. Anyone else, Paul, you want to mention?
I'd like to just thank Randall Corley.
Randall Corley as well from, again, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. Craig Smoak.
Yeah, nobody from there, but I just want to thank all of our sponsors so much. We really do appreciate you. Couldn't do it without you. Want to thank the great folks over, now our teammates with SicEm365 as well for making this happen, and now we got a full week in the books.
Cyril Richardson, Lauren Cox, Grayson Grundhoefer, Daryl Johnston, Alfred Anderson, Art Strickland, and Tom Glavine joined us today. For Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak. Thanks to Dylan Chapman for sitting in with us, and Woodrow. How can we forget him? Thank you for an incredible opening launch week. Week 2 coming up. We've set the standard. We hope you love it. Good night.
Are you in the market for a new home? Or are you trying to sell your home? If you're looking to upsize or downsize, you need a realtor in your corner that can guide you through anything you'll encounter. Contact my good friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Let them be your go-to source as you search for that perfect home. Just call Lance, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com. Lance is a great guy. He's friendly. He's funny. He's going to put you at ease all the way through buying or selling your home, or both. You have to, you got to move out of one. You got to buy another. He can take you through that whole process, make it fun, make it easy. He's really going to listen to your needs. He's going to find something that really fits you and your family. Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. 254-214-3713 or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas. Our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. In today's world, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less, sometimes thousands thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. We even offer financing. Everything's included in the price, and more importantly, you'll not get a bill in the mail later on. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule an appointment safely from home, online in minutes at idealmri.com, or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI. And please remember to follow CDC guidelines and practice social distancing. Stay home, except for the essentials, and be safe, and together we'll get through this at idealmri.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
We are facing some unique challenges at this time. We want to do our part to support not only our community, but our medical providers who are really overtasked right now. Governor Greg Abbott has required dental offices to postpone all elective dental procedures, but still be available for dental emergencies. At this time, dental emergencies are those that are defined as something that would make somebody consider going to the emergency room for treatment. We're offering to see you at our office Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 8 to noon, and we will waive all fees. We're doing this to support the community and support the medical system. This will allow the overtasked medical community to focus on the truly needy at this time. In the midst of what seems to be so much gloomy news, we want to send a positive signal of our faith in our community and in each other. We're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We are all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We are all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We are all in this together.
We're 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 all in this together. We are all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together. Thank you and God bless.